Okay, sorry for that interruption. This is part 4 of Nephilim versus Giants. Now, on the topic of talking about the Nephilim and their return to Earth, there's a bigger picture here that no one has started talking about, or they don't care to talk about. But I have watched recent videos that have said that Nephilim are going to return, or that they are already here. Now, the Nephilim are the fallen angels. And the Nephilim in the Bible talks about that it will be, you hear about different preachers, how they preach in the pulpits about, the earth is going to get wicked again, and there's going to be lots of sin and lots of murder and all this different kind of stuff in the pulpits. But when they preach on a certain segment that they talk about in the Bible, it talks about it will be as the days of Noah. Okay. The Nephilim, the giants, were around during Noah's time. And that's what it's talking about, is that the Nephilim will be coming back. Now, this all started with me starting my hypothesis and starting my research about my blood type and where it goes back to, and the diet that I'm having to do is basically off my blood type. Now, my blood type is B positive. It comes from what we call, Jewish Asians, and that originated, they were called the yellow-skinned ones, originating from the Nephilim, or the Nephilim. Now, the Nephilim are fallen angels from heaven. Now, they are not the first bunch of angels that fell. Now, remember, there was a bunch of angels that fell from heaven, but they weren't the first batch of angels that fell. Now, I'm going to be talking about in part 5, where I read somebody else's hypothesis, or somebody else had wrote what they believe, what would be your blood type and what tribe you would come from Israel. Now, there's a segment in the Bible that talks about the 12 tribes of Israel, or there's 13 tribes, and one was sent into the wilderness, or that they're lost. Now, the 13th tribe, I believe, was a tribe of Nephilims, or Nephilim. But I'm going to be going into more detail about that in part 5. But, somebody was talking about the other day, their hypothesis of the end of the world, and that everything seems not to be what it is. I started this hypothesis because I couldn't come up with answers. I couldn't fit in religion. I couldn't find a church to go to that I couldn't fit into. Now, I did speak to a rabbi the other day, and the rabbi told me that the Nephilim is based off of Catholicism, that it is a myth, or it's based off the Greeks, but it has nothing to do with Hebrew. Now, remember, the Bible originated and was wrote in Hebrew and then translated in English. Now, how can he determine that, a Hebrew or a Jew, you can tell them by the way they look? How do you know that they're not some other tribe or, Gentile? Now, I will be going into detail about Jews and Gentiles and the different races and where they originated from. Now, this is going to be a it's definitely going to be a touchy subject. Ooh, I know y'all all love the word touchy. Okay. And I know y'all love to start some drama on Facebook. But I do love to start drama. I'm a weirdo. I do like to talk about weird subjects. Because if you've seen some of my comments on Facebook, you'll see that originally I am a weirdo. Okay. So if you don't like me being a weirdo, that's just tough luck. But I'm going to be talking about a very, very touchy subject on Facebook that talks about the different races and where they originate from. Now, I know it's going to be a very touchy subject, but if you want to leave a comment on my Facebook, please do. I urge you to leave a comment or a video proving my hypothesis wrong, or proving some other hypothesis that you've came up with. But this is only a hypothesis, and this is going to be something that I'll be continuing until I get the answers. Now, some people say, well, you shouldn't question God, and those are God's answers to answer, and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. That's a sin. This is a sin. How can you determine on what is a sin and what is not a sin? Sure, God gave us knowledge, but when the Nephilim came to earth, when they were cast out of heaven, when they came to earth, they brought knowledge with them. Now, how do you know that God taught everybody knowledge? God was the first. God was the first being, or God was the first. He talks about He's the Alpha and Omega. Then came the angels. The angels were not created by God. They were just there. They were just beings. Now, they did serve God as, He is the Holy of Holies. He is the one true God. But as far as, some of the touchy subjects that I brought up was because, this knowledge that I have is from the Nephilim. And that, I can pick up on different languages really fast because of the knowledge of the Nephilim. Now, just because of the knowledge of the Nephilim that I've inherited through my blood, doesn't necessarily mean that my traits are going to be the same as the Nephilim. They talk about 30-foot giants, or giants that are as tall as mountains. They make regular human beings look like grasshoppers. We look like grasshoppers to them. It's the description in the Bible. Now, our day of our giants that I have really met people that are 12, 13 foot tall. And I'm talking about not basketball players. I'm talking about white people that are 12, 13 foot tall, and huge hands, huge feet. I'm not talking about just your average foot and your average hand. My hand, I would have to look. I'm 6 foot tall, and I would have to look up to these people. Now, these people went to what we call a church called United Pentecostal Church in Mineola, Texas. They were there at a revival or just regular church meetings, but now these people were huge to me. I mean, gigantic. And as you notice, I use the words gigantic a lot, and I use One day this giant is going to wake up. Now, I know, that God is the ultimate decision maker here and that He's the ultimate creator. But now, He did not create the Nephilim or the angels. He created everything except for the angels. And the angels are there to serve Him. Now, all the saints of God, it says that when we accept Jesus as our Savior and when we get to heaven, that we will be known as above the angels. Yes, above the angels. That all these angels has ancient knowledge and wisdom that will be above the Nephilim, will be above the holy angels. Now the holy angels are the seraphim, the cherubim. There's angels on top of the Ark of the Covenant, where the tablets of Moses is in the Ark. They have angels on top of there to protect the Ark. And of course there's the death angel, and there's Gabriel that appeared to Mary. There's also what we call the angel of light, and he says that he is the angel of light, but he really is not. He came from heaven, or was cast from heaven to earth. He was the first being, or the first spirit here on earth, and his name is Lucifer. Now some people call him Satan or Slewfoot or the dragon or the snake. There's snake worshippers and there's different things. But now stay tuned for part 5, because I'm going to be reading a very touchy subject here in a minute. Thank you, and please post your comments on my Facebook page.